Hey, Ange.
Hey Les, how are you?
Thumbs
You're
up
good?
for real.
I'm
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
I'm better.
I think you are better this time. Before I forget, welcome to another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I'm doing a long one today. Look, I'm so giddy and it's just going to come out. It's going to be like a roller coaster for me today
I think
because,
it is. I
yeah,
think it
it
is.
really is. It totally
I'm
is.
I'm I'm rushing into telling you all who we are because our guest today, in fact, our episode today is going to be way up here. It's going to be like off the chain. I'm going to have to reel these two in.
Or
I
not.
get to meet someone that I really just thought was a legend. You know, someone that Ange has talked about for years and years. Oh, Adrienne and I said this, and listen, Adrienne did this, and Adrienne told me, and she and I worked together, and this, and I started thinking, is she a figment of Ange's imagination or what? She couldn't be all that.
And a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips. And then I heard that this Adrienne Fairy was listening to our episodes as she ran on marathons. And I'm like, that's it. She can't be real.
Not
Okay.
during marathons, while she trains.
While she trains for marathons. Well, there she goes. Okay. So then I knew, nah. But then I got to meet her. All right. So I'm going to introduce you to our guest today. I hope I can do it justice. Adrienne Keane has spent her career as an agent for positive change, combining the practices of traditional and agile project management with the science of positive psychology. She has worked with individuals, leaders, and teams to define and achieve goals while maximizing teamwork and creating well-being in the workplace. As a champion for the underdog, she inspires people to uncover their strengths, overcome adversity, and become their best. Adrienne has worked hard to achieve a life well lived. She has taken several mini retirements to explore new places and cultures and spend quality time with family. She's a dedicated runner and marathoner. She recently received her Paralympic classification and won the upper limb impairment division of the Boston Marathon while raising funds for Boston Children's Hospital. Through purposeful marathoning, she has developed discipline, self-confidence, and resilience that positively impacts all aspects of her life. Currently, Adrienne splits her time between the United States and Spain, where her daughter and granddaughter live. She has an amazing part-time job that challenges her intellectually while giving her the freedom to travel and spend time with family. And after that, I give to you Adrienne Keane. Hi.
Hi, thanks, Liz. And
Yeah, so my turn.
Yeah.
My turn. Adrienne is a legend. We worked together at Cisco, and do you know what it's like to be in an organization for several reasons, just feeling sometimes like you're a square peg in a round hole or vice versa. But being very clear about who you are, and then knowing that someone sees you, someone who you admire, and you know that they see you. Like they see you, they seek you out for specific things that you have talents in. They advocate for you. They're your sponsor in rooms that you're not in. They just love you. And that's what Adrienne has always been for me in the workplace. And outside of that, just always been such an amazing friend. She's helped me in my entrepreneurial pursuits. She has just been a beacon of, whenever things kind of get particularly hard and you kind of know that you can call someone. You guys know Leslie is my bestie. I can always call Leslie, but Leslie doesn't know what happened at Cisco. Leslie doesn't know what Agile is all about. Leslie doesn't know what project management. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things that Adrienne has brought to my life that are so invaluable. And I saw, because we're friends on Facebook, of course. By the way, Adrienne is an OG listener. Right? She has been there from the beginning. And the first t-shirt that we ever print is going to Adrienne because our podcast has been her running companion.
Yeah, it has. It's gotten me through many, many running challenges and days. And I also believe, Angela, that I'm wearing maybe your first hat. So
wow.
Pretty sure. So
I'll
say for me with love.
I'll say for the record, we're printing 2 t-shirts. Adrienne gets one. Alex gets the second one. So we got that for sure. No doubt.
Leslie's colleagues. Yeah, for sure. So just always been a support, a dear friend. And I saw her post. I mean, I knew that she was going to run another marathon. By the way, hold up. Let me get it right.
Okay.
She just finished her 13th marathon. Can you tell us how you got into running?
Sure. In 2011, I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, which is where I grew up. And I was looking to establish a new community, and my cousin was part of a running club. Now, I'd run a 5K every now and then. I was always athletic in certain ways, but I'm really not a runner. I didn't consider myself a runner. And I joined this running club, and within 9 months, I was running the Boston Marathon. I mean, it was kind of insane.
Wow.
But I found, it just, it was serendipitous. The universe brings us what we're supposed to have when we're supposed to have it.
Yeah.
And what I learned was that I just hadn't run far enough to enjoy it, that I love distance running, and 5Ks I could completely do without that distance. I like to go out on the road and run 8 to 10 miles. I mean, that's my relaxation. And so,
And
that's
you do
how I
it
got into
in
it.
all kind of weather. I've seen you, I don't know if that is your choice, whether it starts out balmy and then by the time you get halfway there.
And it's like,
I've run in blizzards. I've run in the rain. I've run on ice with spikes on my sneakers. I mean, we really do, when we marathon, we have a plan. Right. And it's really just follow the plan. It's not that hard. Just do what you're supposed to do every day.
It's not that hard. Oh,
no, it's not
just
that
run
hard.
10 miles. I have trouble driving 10 miles.
Anyone could do it. So if the plan says do 10 and it's snowing out, you do 10, unless it's unsafe, of course.
Right,
then you do it the next day. But
Wow.
My mouth is open. Before I say, let me just say for the record, if you see me ever running, you guys better run too. That's all I'm going to say.
That's what I said, Les.
If you see me running, run too.
Never say never. You never know.
Never say never.
Okay.
So on April 16th is when Adrienne won the para champion of the she was running for Boston Children's Hospital. We're going to talk a little bit more about your relationship with that hospital. In the upper limb impairment division, Adrienne won the women's race in the Boston Marathon. Okay. And she also has, it's called a World Marathon. Am I saying that right?
World Marathon Majors.
World Marathon Majors. Okay.
Listen to this, guys.
The Boston, Chicago, New York City, Berlin, London, and Tokyo marathons. Over what period of time?
It was over about 6 or 7 years because you can't just sign up and go run these races. You either have to go in a lottery, you have to qualify.
Oh,
That's how I got involved with running for charity for Boston Children's Hospital, because that allowed me to run for New York City and London because I was having trouble
I
getting
see.
into the races. And
Okay.
so I decided
Okay.
to raise money for charity and be
Right.
able to enter the races in that way.
I see.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
that started this beautiful relationship with the Miles for Miracles team, which is
Yeah. Can
been
you tell us about
Oh
that?
my goodness.
Can you tell us
uh,
about that?
sure. So Boston Children's Hospital has they have a program as part of their foundation, their trust and foundation, to raise funds for the hospital called Miles for Miracles. And they put together running teams, sometimes quite large. There was 220 people on our
Oh,
team for
wow.
Boston,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes smaller, depending on how many bibs they get from the race sponsor
Oh.
for the charity.
Yeah.
And so then they provide us a lot of support for training for the race. And most people have never run a marathon before. They come on the team, and they have 5 coaches for the Boston team. We had 5 coaches. They give us training plans. They give us weekly support. They do weekly runs. Volunteers put out water stops. There's a lot of camaraderie and support. And we raised, between the Boston and London teams that we just had, we raised over $4 million for Boston Children's Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible. Yeah, just
What?
incredible.
Oh
The most
my
we've
gosh,
ever
what a
raised.
blessing.
$4 million. Yeah, it's the most ever raised by
my
Miles for Miracle
gosh.
team. So
Wow.
really just incredible outpouring of love and support. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. I spoke to Adrienne before we started recording, to be fully transparent, because one of the things that I wanted to be really, really mindful of is how I spoke about her disability, her impairment. You know, what is the right language? I know as a Black person, I want people to be thoughtful enough to use the proper language to talk about me, and so it was really important for me to do that. So I asked her some questions, but I really wanted us to talk about this so that you all could hear and maybe learn from my lack of knowledge and be informed by Adrienne around this topic. Some of the language that I saw was instead of saying a disabled person, it's a person with a disability. So kind of putting the person before whatever, like having the focus be on the person. And what is your preferred way of speaking about your disability?
Honestly, I really don't think of myself as having a disability. So that term's a little hard for me.
Yeah.
However, I do like to think of myself as being differently abled.
Okay.
And I have some superpowers that y'all don't have. So
You better, and I've seen it in action. Really. So this is the thing. This is the part, Adrienne. So I know what it's like when someone says to me, I don't see you as Black. I just see you as Angella. I don't like that, because I'm a Black woman, and it's like, you have to see me this way because you're ignoring my whole experience if you don't see me as a Black person. And so the way that I want to talk about what you just said, you don't see I've never seen you that way. I've never seen you as a disabled person. You just don't live that way.
a person with a disability, Angella.
A person with a disability. A person with a So, but is that, by you saying that you don't think of yourself as disabled, should I feel comfortable to feel that way too, that I don't think of you as disabled?
I mean, I think we all have our perceptions and our comfort levels. And honestly, can I talk a little bit about my story?
Yes, please.
Would this be a time that I could do that, just to kind of share
Be
the
a perfect
background for
time.
people on what we're all dancing around here?
Yeah.
So back in 1967, when I was 8 years old, normal rough and tumble tomboy running around the neighborhood and climbing trees, I developed a pain in my arm, which turned into a pain with weakness. And right after my 8th birthday, my parents had me checked out, and it turned out that I had a very rare bone cancer. And the only way to save my life was to amputate my right arm at the shoulder. And so Boston Children's Hospital, this will bring the tie back into Boston Children's Hospital, really saved my life and did that life-performing surgery and took care of me medically. And then following that, because I assume there was some spread or some metastasis, I'm not sure, but because, back in those days, they really didn't tell parents any. I mean, I don't think my parents even knew. Nobody ever said cancer, ever. I had a tumor. I did not have cancer. You didn't talk about that. You didn't talk about that.
Yeah, common.
Because of that, I had to have, it was somewhere between 1 to 2 years of weekly chemotherapy injections. And
as an 8-year-old.
As an 8-year-old. And this happened in the summer. So when I went back to school to 3rd grade, basically I had to learn to do everything again because, guess what? Bonus, I was right-handed. So I had to switch from right-handed to left-handed. I still have horrible handwriting. That's just never improved. But lots of things, physical things were pretty easy. Bike riding, things like that. I just did it. And back in the 60s, there was no psychologist. There was no support groups. There was no, let's talk about how you're feeling. There was kind of buck up, figure it out, move forward. And that was kind of how it was. And, that plays into some of my superpowers, but it also plays into, some challenges later on in life. And so the interesting thing, just to kind of tie it to today, well, first of all, I've never seen limits. I just see ways to get around limits. I don't see limitless. I mean, I'll find a way. There's always a way to do it. Yeah. So, which there is. I can't only think of maybe ballroom dancing and maybe rock climbing, 2 things I would probably can't really do, but pretty much everything else I might do.
You can live without those 2.
I can live without those 2. But, so differently able, the reason I say that is because I do things in a different way. Yes. I just don't do it the way 2-armed people do it. I mean, that's kind of the difference. Yeah. And I spent probably, the first, 55 years of this cancer-free journey, fighting to be seen as normal and to be accepted. Yeah. And in the last couple of years, and especially quite recently, I've decided that I'm leaning in. I'm leaning into the amazing group of people that I'm a part of. And the universe brought me to the para-athletes office last year at the Boston Marathon Expo. I saw the sign. I didn't know what it was. I just went in to ask. And they encouraged me to, to try to be part of this new para-athletics division. Wow. Which there's 7 divisions for various types of disabilities, and upper limb impairment is one of them. But it's a competitive division, and you actually need to get classified by the International Paralympic Committee. It was kind of a big deal. You have to have a certain qualifying time to be eligible to apply to the race, which I did. So
they looked at your times at the from the other marathon?
From Tokyo.
Okay.
From when I ran Tokyo last year, and I qualified for the race. And I was kind of on the fence because I really thought I was done with marathoning. And then the woman said, "But did I mention there's prize money?" And I said,
he said, "Say what?
You said what?
Say what?" So anyway, I decided that this was an opportunity to voluntarily, not to get a bib, but to actually just go and raise funds for be on the Boston Children's team, and what I'm calling purposefully marathon, and raise awareness of not just what differently able people can do, but also inspire other differently able people to challenge their limits. That you can challenge your limits, and the marathon teaches us we can do hard things.
Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. But Adrienne, what I'm hearing though is that you spent your whole life not characterizing yourself as disabled.
No, so I didn't like it.
Right, and I can imagine that because you had so much ability. What I'm wondering though is how was your headspace when you had to incorporate into a group that was labeled disabled, even though everyone in that group could run a marathon. I cannot. You know what I mean? So you had to go from seeing yourself as one way, I think, to another way. No?
Yes, well, I don't know if I even want to say this on here, but you know what? I'm a fully transparent person, and I'm going to say it. I mean, I actually made a comment to my husband, after this was all, we were, the few days before that. Yep, I get to start in the land of misfit toys, and it's just not to take away from anyone else, but I never wanted to start. I just didn't want to be seen as part of that community. Yeah. But now I'm embracing that community, and the people that I got to meet in that tent on marathon morning, people far more differently abled than I, that were taking on this race, were just, it was really, really incredible and emotional. So.
I tell you, I believe that God brings us and puts us in places when we're supposed to be there.
Yep.
I agree.
You were the one that taught me when I think it was you, Adrienne, who first said it to me. When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
For me right now, that's been Angella, I have to say, the last few weeks. She appeared again in my life and taught me some wonderful things about living with joy, and just right on time. And this podcast is right on time. I'm so honored to be a part of this. I can't even imagine that I'm a part of this. So thank you.
It's so good. This was the right time. When I saw you with that laurel wreath on your head, you guys, Patreon subscribers will get these pictures. There's a picture too of Adrienne. I think it was when you're 8, maybe 7 or 8.
Oh, in my birthday
long
party.
Hair.
Yeah, on my birthday party.
Yeah. We're gonna put that in Patreon as well.
That's good. I never knew why I looked. Well, when you all see the picture, you'll understand. I never knew why I looked so unhappy in that picture, and I did not realize it until I scanned it in to the computer, because I did a presentation last summer for diversity and inclusion at my current company. I scanned that picture in, and I blew it up, and I looked at my face, and I thought, "Holy crap, that's a kid with cancer." I mean, I started bawling. I just could see the pain in my face. I mean, it was.
And that was on your birthday, so you. It
was my birthday party.
Oh my gosh!
Crazy.
Wow, that's deep.
Wow.
And do you want to talk a little bit about your actual relationship with Adrienne when you were there? Because Adrienne, you just mentioned your role in diversity. Angie has so much experience, and she really turned Cisco around in terms of diversity. So what was your collaboration like?
Well,
if you worked together in that space.
No.
We didn't. She's doing that in her current.
Right, but I'm just saying that you company. Did have a connection with her. Well, go ahead.
So not around any particular diversity and inclusion initiative at all. We didn't. I think that Adrienne and I, there were some projects that we worked on that we were just always together. We were just always, because we were hustlers. We were like, she was always on the business side and I was on the tech side. And oftentimes there's a chasm between those two groups, because the tech people want to just fluff things up, not only how much money it's going to cost, but how much time it's going to take. And the business wants to get what they need. They want it the lowest cost. And so there is kind of, just by nature, the nature of the beast, there's tension between those two groups. And Adrienne and I were like, this is ridiculous. So we would sometimes have like secret meetings.
Like we were sharing information like behind closed doors that neither of us was supposed to know. But
so were you on opposite sides though?
Yeah, we were on opposite sides.
You were on the business, and
sometimes in public
they didn't know that there was a mole.
Right. She had to feign anger and like, oh, outrage. What is this?
This is ridiculous.
Ridiculous, Angella. What? No.
we got it done. We got it done. And wait, there's another story which I'm going to forget if I don't say it right now. And I saw it when I was
we'll see if it's the one I'm thinking
looking up something. I bet you it is because we're so connected. So when Adrienne decided to go to graduate school, is that the one?
No. So go ahead.
So there's more.
Go ahead. I'm leaning in.
So she decided to go to graduate school, and she asked if I could write a recommendation. Of course, I said, absolutely. So I see that she's going to my alma mater, my undergrad. She was applying to Penn. She had no idea
that you went to
that's
UPenn.
where I went to school.
No idea.
No.
She had no idea.
I think I got in because of you.
And when I told her, she was like, oh my God, no way. Yes. So she got, it's a master's. I don't know if it has anything after that, but it was in positive psychology. Yeah.
Applied positive psychology.
Applied positive psychology. Could you, just in a nutshell, could you tell people what that is? Because I think it's a brilliant, just a flip of what psychology had been before. Who is it? Seligman?
Yeah, it's really studying what takes us, if you think about ground zero, and traditional psychology tries to get us from -10 to 0, right? Mm-hmm. So we're, depression and mental illness. And so taking us up to a steady state of 0. Sure. Applied positive psychology is the science of happiness and strengths, and our goal is to take people from 0 to 10. Mm-hmm. So, and they coexist together. These things can coexist together. My particular concentration was on strengths-based leadership in organizations and what I would call positive project teams. Mm-hmm. So how do we make working on a project team be a positive and successful experience for people?
Yeah. And I remember at one point I brought you in. I think at that point maybe you were consulting.
No, I was on one of my mini retirements.
Were you?
Yes, I had made a plan when I was 40 that at 50 I was going to retire and just work part-time, and then at 60 I was just going to stop working and do fun things. And so at 50 I dutifully retired from Cisco. I just left of my own accord. Mm-hmm. And it was about a year and a half later I was getting bored thinking about going back to work, and there's Angella right on time. She called me and said, would you be interested in coming and doing some consulting on employee engagement? And I was like, hell yes.
Yeah, it was so
we got to work together in our sweet spot for 17 months. It was like incredible.
It was the most beautiful thing.
It was the most beautiful thing. And I'll tell you one other quick connection story. One time before this happened, I was flying up to San Jose. I lived in Orange County, California at the time. And I was taking a plane to fly up to San Jose. And I get on the plane, and who's sitting in my row but Angella. Angella. No. And we got, do you remember? We got a notebook out. I was trying to find it.
Sitting in your row.
Yes. In my row.
I know you were like,
and we got a notebook out, because we're ideators, right? We're big ideators. And we started planning this business. We started planning a business. I'm going to find that thing. I couldn't find it today. I looked for it. I did.
Because we always said when we left Cisco, we were never going to be able to work at another place, because it really is a place that under the right circumstances, they really encourage you to come up with your ideas, pitch your idea, get the funding and do the thing. And so it's it would be so hard to go to another organization that is highly structured, and you gotta kind of follow all the rules and so on. So we always said, man, when we leave here, we're gonna
we mapped it out.
So in your spare time on a plane ride, that's what two ideators get together. What do they do in their spare time? They get a notebook out and start a business. Me, I would be snoozing, asking for the second cocktail.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Leslie, Angela and I could never be business partners because nothing would ever get delivered. There'd be
That's where I would come
That's
in.
where
I
you
would
come in, Les.
Exactly.
That's where you come in.
Exactly.
That's why I keep you around, Les. That's why I keep you around. You balance me out. You balance me out. Yeah, and I wasn't even supposed to because it stopped in like Orange County, and that isn't that where I got on the flight, or you?
No,
you
came from NC to North Carolina and had to change planes and then go from. I'm sorry. You came from NC to Orange County and then you had to change planes there and get on the plane up to John Wayne. And it was just weird because I always flew in the morning, but that day I took like a 2 p.m. flight.
And that was never a route. That was never a route that I would take.
Yeah.
I would either go to SFO or I would not. So yeah. So anyway.
Wow.
Okay, divine intervention.
That's how we
divine
roll.
intervention. One more time.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, we always show up for each other right when it's most important.
For sure. For sure. You had a question, Les?
No, I'm just taking up the plane ride. I think I would get up and move away when I saw the notebooks come out. I'm like, what are we doing? We're not working.
I know that we have a picture because I remember I was cheesing.
Yes. I'm going to find that and send it to you. It's a picture. It must be in my computer, in my old file somewhere.
Right. Oh,
not on my phone. Not on my phone.
Okay, so Adrienne, I want you to talk about what's happening in Spain. Why Spain?
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
What's going on there?
What's going on in Spain?
Yeah. And are you going to like move there full time, you think?
I'm not sure. I'm going to be open to what the universe brings along those lines. But my daughter, I have 2 daughters, and my younger daughter studied abroad her junior year in college. And she met Mario, and she studied in Barcelona. She met Mario. And so Mario, who's now her husband, and they've been married 10 years, and they have 2 beautiful children.
Wow.
And so around the time I was getting ready to make my second retirement, well, maybe my 4th retirement, but retiring from the company I work for now, at 60, because that was my financial plan, retired at 60. So I was leaving and moving, and my husband and I got residency in Spain. We actually went through the hoops, and we established residency there so we could go and come as we please. Mm-hmm. And so the first year we went for an extended time together was in 2020. Okay. And we left January 15th with our newly minted visas and residency cards. And 6 weeks later, we were locked in our apartment because guess what? COVID.
Pandemic.
And we didn't have grandchildren then, but we had planned a lot of travel, a lot of things with our kids. We had all these plans of I was supposed to go to Tokyo to run the Tokyo Marathon with my running bestie, all these plans. And next thing you know, we are not allowed to leave our apartment for like 8 weeks. Only could leave the apartment for the groceries, the pharmacy, and to take out the trash. Like, that was it. You couldn't be outside.
Was it an apartment that you liked? I know you had just gotten there.
But it was with my husband, you know. So.
You leave Bob alone right now.
No, thankfully, it's a 3-bedroom apartment, so I created my she shed. And
I would have had to hide all the sharp objects.
Yes. And then, I did, luckily we had a big balcony, and I was known to run 5 miles in figure 8s on the balcony. Wow. Again, we don't see limits, we just see opportunities and figure out how to get it done. So, again, divine intervention for getting that residency, because the next year we had our first grandchild, and we couldn't have gone to Spain. We couldn't have been there without residency because the countries were not accepting each other for a couple of years. It felt like a couple of years. I don't know how long it was. Yeah. But we were able to freely go and come.
Wow. What part of Spain?
We live near Barcelona.
In Barcelona? Mm-hmm.
Near Barcelona. In a small city outside of Barcelona.
Wow.
And, I really love it there. I feel like this was the first year I actually got to have kind of somewhat of a full experience, because even the second year we went, we were still not locked into our apartment, but we weren't allowed to leave our city for quite a while, and then not allowed to leave our equivalent of our county. So, it was a very different experience. it's a socialist democracy, I think, and so it's a very different experience. We felt safe there. We liked it. We felt safe there. We thought the Americans were nuts, and we felt safe. We felt like the Spanish government was keeping us safe.
Wow. I see.
How
was COVID out there?
It was bad. COVID was bad there. It was bad, and we lived in an apartment where there was a ambulance company kind of across the block, and it was constantly ambulances going out. I mean, it was a tough time, but there was a couple of things that were really cool. At 7:30 8 o'clock, I think, every night, everybody in the city went out on the balconies and cheered for the healthcare workers.
We did that here.
We did that here. You posted that, right?
I posted videos of it. And then there was another couple on the other side of the building that they started a dance party after the cheering. And we were, out there, it's raining men with umbrellas, all this stuff, YMCA,
But, that's the human spirit. We make lemonade out of lemons, I worked straight through the pandemic. We didn't have elective surgical cases, so the anesthesiologists, we worked in the ICUs.
Wow.
You can only imagine.
I can't even imagine. Right you're still doing your job. It's amazing.
That I saw, and how I had to come home and kind of just like decompress before I got in the house. And at the time, Omari was still is immune compromised.
Right.
So me being around all of these sick people, really sick people, and then going home to him who's on these anti-suppression or anti-rejection medications, it was a really, really, I think I was there to make a difference, but I saw things that I would never want to see again. And that's not something I'd ever want to experience again, And
I hope we never have to experience anything like that again. We don't need to. I have some socks that say 2020 on one and do not recommend on the other. Yeah, do not recommend. So it's it's been so I've purposely designed my life in a way that allows me to go back and forth, to spend time with the kids. And then right on time, senior VP I'd worked for in Fidelity called me up a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, are you in the game? Do you want to come back and do some contract work?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." But the people I got to work with were these amazing people that I'd always wanted to work with. And I said, sure, but my game, my rules. So I need to get this rate, and and part-time. I don't want to work full-time. And I have the most wonderful manager, probably one of the best leaders I've ever worked for in my life. Wow. And she says, you work for us when it's convenient for you.
Wow.
You don't feel bad about taking time off. If you're going to go to, I go to Spain for 3 months in the winter. I'm going to be taking a vacation here in June. I'm going back to Spain in the summer. And, she's an incredible manager. And really I get to help them with things that I enjoy. So, I mean, life well lived, but I've put it out there, and I've been willing. And it's been 2 years on my 6-month contract. So
wow.
I am thinking
they like you.
Yeah, they do. I mean, and I like them. It's mutual. We love each other.
Yeah.
But I'm turning 65 next month, and I'm kind of embracing, I'm embracing the idea that it's time to make space for what's coming next. And Angella, the joy thing, there's been a lot of things that have been coming in.
That's our brand, Adrienne. That's our brand.
The things that have been coming in lately are kind of making me a little itchy to lean in on that.
Yes,
I let my hair go gray and embraced my age, and I love it. It's beautiful.
Lovely.
Why the hell did I take so long to do that? And just embracing who I am. I feel like I'm really coming into it, and so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
It's really, really cool. I don't. You remember Carla?
I listened. I listened to Carla this morning.
You got.
Of course she did.
So she's embracing her gray. I did that a year and a half ago. No, it hasn't been that long. I was just letting my hair grow and just having it gray. So I've had that experience. I don't think I'm ready to go back to that yet. I don't think so. I don't like the way it's coming in. It's just weird. But anyway, I've tried it. Okay, it's not that good.
Well, Angella, like with everything in life, when we're ready, we're ready.
That's it. I mean, there you go.
God gave me eczema on my head from the hair dye, so I had to pivot.
There you go.
We're always given what we need, right? We're given what we need. It might not be what we want, but it's what we need.
Exactly.
Wow. We're coming on the end.
All right. Leslie's the timekeeper. Always the timekeeper.
I am.
This has been awesome.
I finally get to meet Adrienne. This is so wonderful.
On our podcast. I love this.
I can't believe I'm now in rock star status that I've been on. Boomer Besties. I'm not even black.
Exactly. But you're a boomer and you're a bestie. And you don't have to be from Brooklyn.
You don't have to be black. You don't have to be from Brooklyn. You got the other boxes checked and checked checked.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I'm very grateful to be able to have this conversation because, when we have these conversations, we all grow and learn by having the conversation. So even hearing yourself, you grow and learn. So
absolutely.
Thank you for this gift.
Thank you for being so willing to be, we always want to inform, and sometimes people don't like to admit what they don't know. And they kind of fake it, and we don't want any fakey stuff, and we don't want people to think that Leslie and I are perfect. Far from it. And so it was. I thank you for what I learned today. And
you're welcome. Can I share one more quick little thing?
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
To close on, maybe. I usually share, I forgot to share it earlier when we were speaking, but when we were talking about how people with persons with disabilities or differently able people like to be addressed, there's one thing that makes me nuts. And it's when people say, do you need help? Do you need help? And the better way to say that is, may I help you? Because when somebody says to me, may I help you? Now they're giving me an opportunity to be of service to them by allowing them to be of service to me.
Oh,
and
all right.
I like to share that
again because that's nuanced, but it's deep.
It's nuanced.
Right, say it again.
So important.
Because when someone
says,
you need help, I say, no, I don't. Thank you. And if someone says, may I help you? Maybe 99%, maybe 90% of the time, I'd say that would be lovely. Thank you. So, because it's not implying that I can't do it. It's saying, may I be of service to you?
It's offering.
It's offering. It's making an offering.
It's offering.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's good. That's a great way to close. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All right.
I love you.
This has been another episode, a goodie, of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.